everyone, this episode of Life in Motion is something a little bit different.
We've never done this before, but we're doing our very first movie review.
And it has tons of spoilers.
It does.
So if you want to watch the movie Turning Red, pause now and go watch the movie before we spoil it for you.
But you do want to hear what we have to say because we had fun, we enjoyed it, we felt like it mirrored a lot of our lives.
Yeah. I saw myself in so many different ways in this movie.
And our kids.
I really learned a lot from watching it.
So we hope you'll enjoy this episode. But remember, spoiler alert, if you want to see the movie first, head over, watch the movie, and join us back for a conversation about Turning Red.
Spring break, how was yours?
It was great. We went to Gulf Shores for baseball and the beach, and then a couple of other miscellaneous things. But it's one of those weird years where on the beach, it's like 50 degrees, so you're freezing cold. So your elementary age daughter's like running in the waves. And I sent you a picture. I was like wrapped in a blanket and a hoodie and a towel around me and just living my best beach life. So it was okay. It was good.
I think this weather has made me to the point where I'm just ready to give up.
Oh my God. On life? You're just done.
No, just like school and things. It's like I need some sunshine to give me some energy to keep me going because this cold weather is just like, I give up. I'm just going to stay in bed. Yeah. Children, fix your own breakfast. Came in. I woke him up for school today and get up, let's go, breakfast, blah, blah, blah. And then I just went back to bed with some hot water and lemon, and B comes in and she's like, I'm hungry. Are you going to fix me breakfast? And I was like, well, can't you make your own eggs?
Yeah, you're going to be fine. This is a life lesson everyone needs to learn. Head on in there.
But no, I got up and I made her breakfast. But
you're a good mom.
The whole weather thing is just like, I just don't feel like doing anything. I'm ready for summer. Let's call the school year quits.
Oh my goodness.
I'm done.
This is how life works. By the time this episode airs, it's probably going to be sunny and 115 degrees because that's how Oklahoma is. Yeah. Like, we're going to record this. It's going to air in 2 weeks, and people are going to say, what are they talking about? But if you live with us, it's like warm and it's like freezing cold.
I was at a track meet yesterday, and it was cold enough to snow, and the wind is blowing, and I am like coat, hat, gloves, and 2 blankets wrapped around me, and I can't even move. It's too cold to even get up.
Yeah, I sit at baseball games inside of a sleeping bag, and so I took Eleanor to a little pitching lesson yesterday, and Kyle, who you refer to as Moneybags, so I know Kyle is a listener, so Moneybags,
Kyle.
I'm just going to say Moneybags now. Moneybags is just like, wow, because I was like zipping myself into a sleeping bag while he's getting ready to do a lesson for Eleanor, but it is what it is.
It is, yeah. So, spring break for us was very low-key. I did a puzzle.
You are so wild.
The girls had a couple activities, and we just spent the week at home, and it was so nice.
Oh, good.
Nothing to do.
Yeah.
Nothing going on. After like 3 or 4 weeks of
super busy,
it was really nice to not do anything. So we kicked off spring break with a movie night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We watched Turning Red.
Oh, goodness. Somebody's disappointed in you that's listening right now. Right now, somebody's
mad. I thought it was amazing. That was one of the best Pixar movies that I've seen in a while. Not only was it funny, but it had so much insight that I was thinking about, oh my gosh, my feelings. And this is what your feelings look like when you are, when they're out
when
of
they're
control
not healthy.
Or when they're not healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing.
Listen, I had seen a lot of backlash about the movie on social media. And I will say, I primarily follow people on social media that I know, which means they're most likely evangelical Christians that are relatively conservative or whatever. So I often have a slightly different viewpoint, but I was a little hesitant because everyone's like, no one's children should watch this movie. This is absolutely horrible. This is, evil in the highest degree, all these things. So you text me and say, have you seen Turning Red? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I'm going to watch that. You're like, I would challenge you to watch it so we can talk about it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And if you...
Well, watching it and then seeing everybody's comments, I'm like, I don't know if you gave it enough of a chance.
This is what I loved about it. Now, I'm in a different season of life than probably some people listening, but the story is about a 13-year-old girl. So she's going through puberty. Mm-hmm. She's changing. She's pulling away from her parents. She's wanting to make her own decisions. And I just go, okay, in my house, it wasn't 13. I've got boys. It was a little bit later, but it was 14, and it's all those same things. Mm-hmm. It's like one day I was like queen of the house.
Yeah.
And I woke up one day and I'm not fair and everybody else gets to do more things than I let my kids do. And I'm dumb and I can't believe I live with you. I just like all the things. It's the teenage angst. And the way they portrayed it, I thought was hilarious and hitting the nail on the head. I loved it.
We could talk about this movie from several different perspectives, mm-hmm. like the mom perspective, the daughter perspective,
yeah,
and the friend perspective.
Yeah.
Just so let's pick one and start there.
Okay,
daughter.
You pick. Sure.
Okay, let's start with daughter.
Okay, great.
So the daughter starts off the movie talking about you have to respect your parents, and in my culture, you honor those. And she goes, but not me, because I do what I want, I say what I want, I dress what I want, and I'm an adult according to the Toronto Transit Authority, and she's riding the bus by herself. And you think like, yeah, this girl, she's got sass or whatever, and it's all true until the end of the school day, and she's like, I've got to get home or I'm going to my mom's going to be unhappy with me.
And don't you feel like that's just about every teenager at their coming of age moment? Like when they're away from their parents, it's like, I do what I want.
Yeah.
And then they get home and they're like, but I'm still terrified of my parents. I'm still gonna toe the line or at least hide my truest self because my parents would never understand. Pretty normal.
Which, you find out through the course of the movie, like her mom, she's been hiding her true self from her mom.
Right.
So at the end of the movie, her mom is like, this is not you, when she's at this concert and everything.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, this is me.
Yeah.
It's really interesting at the beginning of the movie when she and her friends want to go to the concert. And so to ask her mom if she can go or to test the waters, the commercial comes on for the concert and the band, and her mom's like, who would like this band? This is trash, blah, blah, blah. And the girl's just like, well, some of the kids at school like it. And she's like, oh, no, not you, no way. And it's interesting the way the daughter is testing.
Yeah.
How is mom going to respond so that I can engage in a conversation with her? Or do I just not say anything?
And she learned in that moment, I say nothing because my mom's crazy.
Because, well, I think lesson for the moms, it's not safe for me to share what I really like and think and feel about boys or music or anything, because my mom will shut that down. She won't let me do that.
I remember, Heather, when Cooper, my oldest, who's now 17, when he was little, I can't remember what age, but it would have been preteen, and he liked some girl or whatever. And I remember this all happened like in a setting where Brian was there, Cooper's there, I'm there, and I'm just like, oh, you're too young to like a girl, Cooper. You're not liking any girls. And then he left the room and Brian was like, hey, hang on one second. So you don't want him to ever like girls? And I was like, what? And he's like, that's what you just told him.
Yeah. Or you told him,
Don't
ever tell me that you like a girl. Don't let me know, because I won't believe it and I won't engage you in those conversations.
What's crazy is we changed our parenting because of Brian recognizing that. But when you still walk kids through that teenage angst, they're still going to have those insecurities. So like we've opened up dialogue about all these things. Chase gets his first girlfriend this year, like back in October. But I remember Cooper, they came home from a football game. I guess it was the night that he asked her to be his girlfriend. And he wasn't going to tell us because my parents are going to embarrass me. They're going to ask me these questions. Mm-hmm. So he came home, and thankfully I already have one kid that's gone through the whole teenage, whatever, already gone through this. And he's like, Chase, tell her right now. And I was like, what? Because then I think like he's done something majorly wrong.
Smoking cigarettes and got caught.
We're going to have to take you to the police. Or, anyway, Cooper's like, Chase, tell her. And Chase is like, and he's just like, I've got a girlfriend. And they like turns around and walks upstairs and off he goes because he was concerned about how I would react.
Yeah.
Well, I'm often concerned about how I would react too. So he's not too far off.
So in the movie, the mom comes across, listen, this whole conversation is going to have spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, I'm sorry.
You gotta watch it. It's so
you
cute.
You should pause here, go watch the movie, come back and listen to us analyze and dissect.
Yeah, because we're very smart.
Because coming up, spoiler.
Yeah.
So the girl is writing in her journal and begins doodling this guy that her friends think are cute. And that earlier she had said, oh, he's not cute at all, but then starts doodling. And she's doodling them embracing. And you can just, it's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
And the mom finds the journal and totally freaks out and humiliates her daughter.
I am a freaker-outer. I know that's a shock to you, but I am a freaker-outer. So I was watching things like that when the mom sees the doodles and I'm just like, oh my gosh, there I am. No wonder my kids think I'm crazy. I typically freak out and then I bring it down to the normal level. Hilarious.
Hilarious. So the mom freaks out, humiliates her daughter over finding that journal. And in the emotions, I think, I interpret it as, in the emotions that the girl is trying to suppress because she doesn't want to share with her, doesn't feel safe enough to share with her mom what she really thinks and feels.
Yeah.
Those emotions come out in a red panda.
Yeah.
And then mayhem ensues.
Oh my goodness. It's so cute. And it's so telling because I'm watching that and I'm laughing and I'm giggling because I completely relate and understand. And then I'm also reminded of all the things that my kids aren't sure I'm a safe person to talk to them about. Like, we had a big discussion post spring break. Brian was out of town, so I'm doing this by myself. I was probably talking loud, but it's both my boys. And I had just seen some stuff on one of their phones that I thought, like, is this sinful? I think so. Is it normal teenage behavior? Absolutely. So is it a morality issue? Because I'm really not trying to focus so much on morality as I am, are you following Christ? I was having a conversation saying, I saw some of this stuff and this doesn't make me believe that you're a Christ follower. And he's like, what? And he's just like, Mom, this is what guys do. Mom, this is what we talk about in the locker room. Mom, this is what we talk about at school. They go to a Christian school run by our church. Yeah. Like, Mom, you don't understand. It's all this same Turning Red movie content. Mom, you don't get it. You don't understand. Like, I'm so far removed from reality that I would never understand. I'm like, the thing is, I completely understand. And I said to him in that moment, because this season has been about how to faithfully follow Jesus. And I just asked him, do you want to be a Christ follower? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, because I feel like you are very much a Christian school kid who made a decision for Jesus at one time in their life. But I don't see evidence of you choosing to follow Jesus when it's difficult, when it flies in the face of what's normal among your peers. And I was like, you're probably not going to like this, but I'm going to toss it out anyway. Like, I can't make you love Jesus and I can't make you follow him. I don't know if you're going to or not. And it will break my heart if you don't. I said, there's all kinds of fear involved with the thought that maybe you won't follow him one day, but I can't make you. But I can bring to light what Scripture says. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of feeling like some of the choices you're making are those choices that the Bible talks about, that if you're neither hot nor cold and you're lukewarm, that you'll be spewed from the Lord's mouth. Like, I kind of feel like, not you as a person, but I kind of feel like your choices completely disgust the Lord. Ouch. I know. He just like was staring at me and then Chase is like, I think you're going to hell. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's dodged. But he's hiding certain parts of who he is because I would never understand. This is normal. Like, I don't know, everybody prays different things for their kids. I pray that whatever lessons they need to learn in my house, that I would steward those lessons well. Mm-hmm. And turns out I have had to walk through some really difficult conversations with my kids, I think as a result of that prayer. But I don't want my kids to be morally wonderful people that don't follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And I could hear in our conversation like, but I didn't take it too far, Mom. Like there's some imaginary line of like, it's kind of sinful, but I didn't go really sinful, so it's going to be okay. And I'm just like, man, that's not the God I read about in Scripture. He told me, I hear you, and I'm going to think about that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right, moving on. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
now will you make the right choice?
Yeah, but this is what I was watching in this movie, and I loved it so much because it was presented in such a way that was so accurate, but funny, and I got to see my own faults in it. I think we should talk about either the friend group or the mom. Which one do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the friend group.
Okay.
One thing that was interesting about her turning into a panda, May is her name, was...
I imagine if somebody hasn't watched this, how ridiculous we sound. But that's okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
The panda?
When she turns into a panda, it's for her mom, who also when she was a teenager had turned into a panda, is what you find out. But for the little girl, the girl, May, turning into a panda, she was able to be a panda and be in control of her emotions and her feelings and kind of, May would say, who she really was in the safety of her friend group.
Yeah.
Like she didn't feel that safety with her mom, which it's side note to her mom. So the grandma, the mother's mom, finds out that that the granddaughter May has turned into a panda and calls to talk to the mom about it, and the mom is like, "I'm not here. No, don't." She's still afraid of her mom and having a relationship with her where she can, be herself and talk about her feelings.
Well, I don't know if my mom listens to our podcast or not, but I certainly don't bring up the conversations I have at this table with her.
Yeah,
weird. I should be able to.
Yeah,
I'm 45 years old,
but
those things are real.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Interesting how May, when she's not a panda, is so comfortable with her peers.
Yeah.
Isn't that the story of teenage life?
There were so many things that I loved about that friend group. Like they were so loving and supportive. She's a panda and she's upset and they're like, "What, are you kidding? We love you just the way that you are."
Yeah.
And I mean, that is the friend group that everybody should want to have. And to have, I know it's fictional, but to have it when you're 13 years old and they're not going behind her back and talking about her, they're not, there's no drama in this friend group. They are all for each other. It was really beautiful to see. However,
it's the blind leading the blind because they're all 13.
And they're making plans and sneaking around and, so there were some things to talk about with my girls. Like, okay, so what do you do when your friends are telling you, just lie to your mom, sneak out, blah, 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 all those kinds of things. But I really loved the friend group.
I loved the how all those little girls were just so enamored with the boy band. And I remember one of my first concerts was New Kids on the Block. And I think I was 14. I had some friends that were a little bit older. So somebody in our friend group drove. So parents didn't have to take us. And after the concert, we followed the tour bus back to their hotel, and we saw one of the New Kids on the Block set his Coke can down and walk up to his room, and we went and took it and drank the rest of it.
Because that's one step away from kissing.
So I think when parents watch a movie like this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, my children can never see it," remember what you were like when you were 13, 14, 15. It's probably not too far removed from this character.
Yeah.
I was just laughing, watching them like giddy, jumping up and down, going, "Oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure I took a drink of Coke out of a can that one of the New Kids on the Block left on a table in a hotel lobby. What is wrong with me?"
You're normal.
Yeah.
Totally normal.
Which is weird, but normal. Yeah.
Now the mom.
This one's harder to talk about.
The end of the movie when so the mom is very much in control of Mei Mei's life.
Yeah.
Where she dictates where she is, what she's doing, where she's going.
Helicopter mom,
Yeah.
which is the term that our friends would recognize and understand.
Yeah.
Or lawnmower mom, go ahead of you and knock down all the things, and you, child, stay safely behind me. I've got you. Yeah.
So because this is a movie, and it's fictional, and it's a cartoon, they can add in all of these underlying details that if you're just watching the movie, you might not notice, but
Sure.
it all has meaning. So I looked it up yesterday, and B had been watching it with me, and she actually noticed as well. Mei Mei is red, like she's a red panda. Her hair
Is red,
turns red,
Yeah.
and red symbolizes strong emotions. Like that's in Chinese culture, that's what red is. It's anger, passion, or whatever. Green represents calm, harmony, cleanliness, ordered
Interesting. Okay.
life. And so the mother is always wearing green.
Green eyeshadow even.
Green eyeshadow, and the extended family wears green as well. With the one exception of the mother wears a necklace that's red. It has a red charm on it. And so the mother leads a very ordered, calm,
polished
life that there is nothing out of order. Like she says to Mei Mei at the end, I don't remember if she says it any time before, but you get the idea that this is how you behave. This is what you do.
Right.
These are the rules that you stick to.
Yeah.
And it's all very controlled and buttoned up.
Yes.
But you find out that the mother, when she was 13, had turned into a panda herself.
Right.
And the dad tells Mei Mei, she's like, did your mom ever talk to you about her panda? And it's so funny that it's a panda, but...
Is that something in Chinese culture? It is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, so that's why. Okay, go ahead.
But did she ever talk to you about her panda? And she's like, no. And she was like, she was huge and volatile and angry. Yeah. And she ruined the temple. Yeah. And she's like, really? And so the idea is they're going to have a ceremony that captures the panda and locks it away so that it is forever controlled. Which, when you talk about your emotions and your feelings, and if you were to put them in a bottle and we're going to just put them right here and we're never going to address them
and be done.
Yeah. Well, the mom, her necklace is what holds her panda. So she keeps all of her feelings locked up in this necklace, and the necklace breaks open and the panda comes
all hell
out.
Breaks loose.
And it is like a giant panda walking through
it's 3 times the size of any other panda.
Yeah. It's towering over buildings.
Yeah.
She's storming through the city, calling out her daughter's name, Mei Mei, where are you? And it's just all of this emotion and
that has
anger
been stuffed for years.
And it just comes bottling. It just comes pouring out into this gigantic, angry panda. Yeah. I mean, as I'm watching that, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is what happens.
It's the garden hose with too many rocks, and it's all the things that we've talked about for a whole year and a half or whatever.
Yeah, it was incredible to just be watching this. Like, okay, so I didn't need to go to counseling.
I could have watched this movie.
Pixar already had this all figured out.
Oh my goodness. I was just thinking of the generation upon generation represented in that movie being taught to stuff emotions.
Behave a certain way.
Yes, and how painful it is for everybody.
So there's the ceremony, which this has stirred up controversy
it's really bad.
That it's witchcraft or something.
Very bad.
But let's just...
I also use essential oils. I'm just going to toss that out so that if people are going to be mad about the movie, I also use essential oils. Go ahead.
So, but there is a ceremony where you lock away your panda.
Yeah.
And so after the mother explodes into this huge panda, she somehow gets knocked unconscious or something like that and is laying on the ground. And so they're going to have the ceremony while the gigantic panda is unconscious.
Just on the ground, yeah.
And force her back into her into
the
a
necklace.
controlled
Let's
environment.
Button this up. We got to get rid of the evidence.
Yeah. So
isn't that what you do with sin, though? Like, I threw a party at my house one time during the workday while my parents were at work because we had a day off from school, and then you hide all the evidence.
Yeah.
It's just like the panda's laying out, laying out flat on the ground, and all the family and friends are like, we got to hide the evidence. Too much emotion. My goodness.
So during the ceremony, you go to a spiritual place, let's say. This is all pretend. It's all make-believe. You go to this spiritual place where you meet with the ancestor to lock away the panda.
Right.
So when the mom's panda comes out, all of the ancestors that are there, they're not ancestors, the grandma, the aunts. Extended family that have...
All the females, only the females
turn into pandas.
At puberty, which is just so accurate.
But they do this spiritual ceremony with the mom. And so they are all in this spiritual place. And May is there as well. And she sees her mother as a 13-year-old girl crying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to make her happy. I'm always going to be... always going to be a disappointment. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I will never be good enough. I can't follow all the rules. Yeah. And you just see that the mother has learned to suppress everything. And it is just heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. And in that moment, watching that, I feel, as a believer, I'm going to shift it just to as a believer for a second. I feel like once my kids, even despite mistakes they make or choices that I don't agree with, once they have made a decision for the Lord, we're brothers and sisters in Christ. And if I can't ever share with them some of the depth of my own emotions, like I was telling one of my kids recently, I was like, I know sometimes I get so mad, and I know this may not make sense to you, but it's because I love you so fiercely. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I said, I'm working on it. But I sometimes am overcome with emotion out of my love for you. And I know that you see that as anger towards you. And I'm working on it, and I'm sorry, but I'm human. But that's a brother to sister conversation versus button it up, don't ever discuss it. And there's a certain level of, hopefully I'm not the only one that feels this way, there's a certain level of fear in raising kids.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to have it. But these kids grow up and get to make their own decisions beyond our control, and they may not choose right.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
It is.
But if I don't ever share that with my kids, man, what kind of relationship do we have? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was so beautiful as May's able to see her mom in her emotion and go, oh, wow, all that buttoned up, polished, strict rules, control everything, is really a result of a lot of insecurity that she never got to deal with. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I love these people.
I thought it was a fabulous movie. Really, I don't know that it's for super young kids.
Sure.
Or if you're super young kids, watch it. Most of it's just going to go right over their head. But if you have somewhere between 6 to 10-year-olds, you should use discretion whether you watch it or not.
I would say it's kind of like having a sex talk with your kids, where a lot of parents are like, oh, my kid is way too young for that, only to find out they found out about sex at 7 years old at school.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these topics in this movie, I do think the knee-jerk reaction from a parent is like, oh my goodness, my kid should never see that. My instinct is most people saying that their kids have already heard about it.
Well, even so, my 12-year-old came home and she loved the movie. Right now, she's just turned 12. She is obsessed with puberty.
Sure.
Obsessed. Wants to talk about what's going to happen and when it's going to happen, and just she's just thrilled.
And coming of age and growing up. It's not just puberty she's obsessed with. I don't think this would be out of place to say, but you were texting me the other day, can Eleanor spend the night with the girls? Zuzu would like to babysit them.
Yeah.
So I was giving Eleanor a heads up because Eleanor sees herself with Zuzu on the exact same level. Now, they're 4 years apart. They're not on the same level. They've just grown up together.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, Elle, I think Zuzu's going to babysit you guys in a night or two. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, she's a lot older than you. She's going to practice so she can get some babysitting jobs. So I'm going to need you to let her be the babysitter. And she's like, okay. But I just need to let you. But she's coming of age.
She's coming of age.
She wants to take on responsibility and watch after things. And
granted, Zuzu has 3 older siblings, so she has learned a lot by observing our interactions with them and the choices that they make, the things that she does. So she's like, teen years, I'm ready.
Right.
And so watching this movie even wasn't like, oh, I've never heard any of this before.
Right.
So, but she goes to school and she's talking to her friends about it. And just to hear how many of her friends did not like the movie or felt like that girl was so bad and so disrespectful to her parents.
But did they feel that way? Or did their parents tell them that?
I know.
It's just an interesting
thing. And she was just like, I can't believe you didn't like that movie. I love that movie.
And you're right. It's such a difference on your family culture and how old your kids are. Because like I'm even thinking the story I shared just a minute ago about telling Cooper that I think the Lord might be disgusted with those choices. And then Chase going, Cooper's going to hell. Eleanor was in that whole conversation at 8 years old. Like, she's just like, is he going to hell? And I was like, Chase, be quiet. Eleanor, stand down. Hey, you, look at me. But that's a different family dynamic than if you're 6 years old, the oldest child in your family, you aren't really being that tempted to not honor your father and mother yet. Or it's different. It's different.
It led to discussion with Zoo and B watched it as well, which I think a lot of it did go over her head, but she's observing everything else that's happening in our house. So
I watched it and wasn't sure if I wanted Eleanor to see it or not. And then I realized Eleanor listens to our podcast because she thinks we're hilarious. So she's already heard all about this thing. So they might go over her head, but she's heard about all of it. So
So anyway, honestly, I would encourage you to watch it, especially if you've got...
Even if your kids don't want to, or you don't have kids, or it's fascinating. It's a fascinating story on the psychology of humanity.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
If you can remember being 13-ish, it's really funny. Oh, man. Well, we're probably going to get some hate mail. So I don't think people write letters anymore. And don't they love us?
Yeah.
But if you want to share your own thoughts, comments with us, we'd love to read them. So you can text Life in Motion to the number 23101, air your grievances, tell us what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like, about the movie or about this season. Heather, did you know this is our last episode?
I know.
So
it's gone by fast.
It's gone by fast, and we're just going to go out with a bang. We're just going to go out stirring the pot. And, the way we started in the very beginning was kind of like there's a proverbial line in the sand that people in the church aren't necessarily willing to cross and talk about and really engage with hot topic issues. And we just said, we're just committed to talking about it all. And so true to our commitment to you, that's what we've done today. Yeah. So in closing, though, what have you done or are you going to do this week that brings you and those around you joy?
Well, I'm looking forward to, by the time this airs, it'll be too late for you guys to join me, but I'm going to a bunko night at church on Friday night.
Good for you. Good for you.
You're not going?
I'm going to be out of town.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I'm going to go to bunko and I'm going to try to win some prizes.
Good.
And that'll be fun just for me, night out, but then also track meets.
I know. We were both in a season. Brian was just texting me the other day and he's like, would you please talk with Heather and get something on the books?
Yeah.
Like, we've got to get together and do something. And I'm just like, well,
good luck.
I'll talk to her, but she's juggling 3 kids that run track and we're juggling 2 baseball players and 1 softball player. So we'll see. But I will say one thing that I don't know that I'm doing it this week, but that I'm looking forward to that will bring me joy before we have a new season is we have family vacation planned. And it might be, I hate to speak this into existence, but it might be our last family vacation with all of our kids. Because Fran's an adult, he's still going to come, and
a couple of days.
Lucy is coming after her senior trip for a couple of days. And this will be the summer before Cooper's a senior in high school. Like, some of these whole family trips they're probably winding down. So we're kind of doing a big bang, go out big in case it doesn't happen again. And if it does, we'll just keep going out big.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to more of an extended trip. Are we on 10 days or
2
weeks? Longer than normal. Really taking a step back from vocational ministry and doing some family ministry. We get to do it together.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's what I'm looking forward to. We hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Like, I really hope you have. I know it's stirring the pot when maybe we sometimes see things differently than other people in the world, but isn't that what this is all about? Is bringing our true selves to the table and really discussing things that matter. So we hope you have a great week. Subscribe, share, and tell your friends about Life in Motion. Have a great week.